don't know, but I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I just know that I'ma get it.
Hello, everybody. My name is April Morrison, and I want to welcome you guys to my show, The AMP Awards. And I have a special guest today. I mean, he's very special to me. Yes. His name is Mr. Marc John Jefferies. You all may know him. How you doing, Marc?
I'm doing well. Can't complain.
Good to see you. Well, actually, good to have you here.
Yes.
And I appreciate you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, for awarding me.
Yeah. And your dad, I got to get him up for that.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a good dude, big dad.
Yeah, he actually collaborated really well with this for me.
Mm-hmm. So he spoke very highly of you. Really, from the first time he messaged me, he was like, "Look, man, I'm calling you. Answer your phone." I'm like, "Yo, I'm on set." Mm-hmm. He said, "I don't care if you're on set. There's a person. I need you to meet them. They want to interview you. This is meaningful.
Oh.
She's a good lady, a good woman.
Yeah.
You have to do it." I'm like,
"Oh,
all right, cool." Because he don't. When it comes to my career, when it comes to like interviews and stuff, he doesn't really push much. He doesn't.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
He doesn't. So when he was like, "Nah, I want you to do this," I was like, "All right, I got you."
Yeah, and I really appreciate it. And we talked quite a bit.
He was telling me.
Yeah, we talked quite a bit.
Yep.
So anyway, let's tell our audience a little bit about you.
Okay.
I know a lot of people do know you, but this is even more getting to know who Marc John Jefferies is.
Yes.
How did you get started in acting?
So when I was 3 weeks old, my dad was a photographer shooting an American Express campaign.
Okay.
And the baby that they had hired got sick. And literally it was like the day before the shoot. And his partner on the shoot was like, "We need a new kid. You got a newborn, right?" And my father was like, "Yeah, but he's black." And he said, "It don't matter, he light skinned. We gonna use him." And I was the baby. And from that, his partner recommended that he get me with Ford Modeling Agency. I got with Ford Modeling Agency, started like modeling and print ads and stuff as a baby. My first commercial, I was 2 years old, Canon Camera Zoom X, and I auditioned for Losing Isaiah at 3. And once I got Losing Isaiah, the rest is history.
You auditioned for Losing Isaiah at 3?
At 3. I was 3 years old when we shot.
Oh, I thought you were like 5. It was 3.
Yeah, I was 3. I was 3 when we started shooting. I turned 4 on set. I was 5 when it came out.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That is amazing.
Yep.
So what was that like playing with well, you were really young. You might remember.
My memories are limited. I'm going to tell you what I remember from set. I remember ice cream in David Strathairn's hair because he was giving me the piggyback ride in the scene, and I was putting the chocolate ice cream all in his hair. I remember when I had to bite Hallie in the restaurant. I remember that I had to bite her finger when she's trying to feed me the cheeseburger. I remember Hallie and Jessica Lange gave me rap gifts. One was a talking flat Flintstone watch, and the other was like this Rubik set where I get to like use the little cubes and build this little house.
Wow, so that's your memory.
Other than that, and I remember when I shot Losing Isaiah, they took me on the lot of Paramount to meet Will Smith and Martin Lawrence when they were shooting Bad Boys.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember that. The other things I remember I can't really speak on. You know? I'm trying to throw nobody under the bus.
It's all good.
I remember, you know what I'm talking about too, if you're watching this.
Okay.
It's a good shoot.
Well, let me ask you this. Who inspired you to, after the fact that, I know as a child that was a little bit different. You didn't know what being inspired was. You just doing the thing, but, what would you say moving forward?
Okay, it's hard to say who my inspiration was because it was my norm growing up. I was in the industry before I went to school. My experience was that this is what I have done since I was younger. So it wasn't until I was like 13, 14 that I even started to realize that I was a different kind of kid. When I would be out with my friends and adults would be running up crying and screaming and asking to take pictures, and I'm like, and my friends would be like, "Yeah, you famous, you on TV."
Wow.
I was a little, actor kid, so I lived a very sheltered life. My dad made sure I wasn't exposed to a lot. The other children that I was around, they were on set too, so our experience was the same. So acting was just something that kind of was a part of my life. And then once I got a little older, I started realizing like, oh, okay, so this is a job. So I started viewing it a little different.
Right.
And then I would say like my mentors when I was about 15, they inspired me in the sense of they motivated me to take it seriously, to be great, to work at it, and to really like fine tune my craft. So those people would be like Eddie Murphy, Tracy Morgan, Martin Lawrence, Miguel Nunez, Paul Mooney, even though he's no longer with us, Amari Hardwick, 50, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. He was a big inspiration to me because he was so different than people thought.
50
knows him to
was?
be. 50 is
Really?
smart.
Really? Yeah.
50 is smart. A businessman, very personable, loves to teach people lessons, doesn't matter who you are. If 50 comes around, he'll talk to you about any kind of life lesson that you want to know about, hear about.
Wow.
One of the most giving individuals I ever met. So when I first met him, it was this introduction into acting, but his character spoke volumes. And he was, I think, outside of Eddie, he's probably one of the people that had the biggest impact on me in the industry from a young age. And then and then from there I grow. Oh, Mr. Cosby, Bill Cosby.
Oh, you work with him too?
I was on the Cosby Show.
You were on the Cosby Show?
I was on the second Cosby Show. I played Davey, Dougie Doug's nephew. So I was on
I have to go back and watch that.
Yeah. So a lot of great inspiration, great figures through my career. But I would say like my biggest inspiration was just seeing it through.
Yeah.
Longevity.
Right.
You know. Once I started to understand it, once I started to realize that I loved it, because I do love what I do. Right. It was just like, all right, well, what's the goal? And once I set that goal, that is what inspired me to keep going.
What would you say your most challenging one?
Challenging role?
Yeah, I mean, you got a ton of them, so
okay.
I don't know if you can, you know.
Okay, I would say it was a short that I did. She was actually just asking me about it. I played Ignatius Sancho, and he was the first African ever allowed to vote in British Parliament back in 1726. Wow. And a NYU student, it was her thesis project. She was about to graduate, and Ignatius happens to be one of her ancestors. Right. So she was like, we want you to play him, and we're going to do a short. And then my mentor one of my mentors just won an Oscar for a short they did, and they're going to come on board the project to produce it too. And I had to pick up the British accent. Mind you, I had 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
I had 2 weeks.
Oh,
I had to pick up the British accent. I had to learn how to fake play piano. It's not as easy as it sounds. Y'all probably think, all you got to do is this. No, it's not that easy because different chords, and for certain people that know how to play piano and know what piano is like, it's like you still have to sell them on it. Okay. So then I had to learn to walk with a different posture. Oh my goodness. Character was older, so I had to present myself in a more mature way. It was a completely...
How did you prepare for it? Like
dialect coach that actually was playing one of the characters in the project. Okay. I had to go through all of the history of who he was and what he had been through, look up what things were like then, understand the cues and attention between the two ethnicities at the time, and the honor that it was. He was also a composer. He was the first African to ever have his compositions published and his books and his letters published. So it goes deep, and I had to do it all in like a 2-week span. And we shot the project, and it was good. I wish I had another crack at him. Really? Just because you always grow. And I never, this is a fun fact, I don't watch my work.
Why?
Because you always grow, right? So it's like, think about even like fashion. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you realize what fashion is and your understanding of what works grows as you get older, and then you look back and you see yourself wearing some pajama-looking pants with a basketball jersey with a long white thermal with some boots, and when you were younger, you thought you was looking fly, but now that you're older and you've matured, it's like, what did I have on? Why did I dress like that? Now the glow up is real. Yeah. So in acting, looking at my work, because you shoot a movie, it comes out a year, 2, 3 years later sometime. Yeah, right. So you look at where you were,
Okay.
and you try to sometimes you start trying to make up for past mistakes, and you can't ever do that. Once you perform a role, you got to leave it in the past.
Wow.
And you got to move on because there's no making up for that. You got to always look for the areas you can grow, and that should not be something that you're just realizing 2-3 years later once the project comes out. So I don't necessarily like watching my work because it's easy to get stuck in that space of trying to right those wrongs. And that was one of the projects where I saw it, and I'm like, cool, I believe it. It was cool. But with where I am now, I could have gone so much deeper. And I got a chance to go deeper in a sense because I played a character. His name is Sam Langford. He is a boxing legend. He's actually the boxer that Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali prototyped their personas off of. And he fought in the early 1912, 1918. And he announced after his retirement that he was blind for a third of his career. And I played him in a short. And I got to like make up for it because his character was very layered and complex. What do you call it? Train? I'm from the Bronx. I grew up fighting.
Oh, okay. All right.
I had to go through like the stunt. The stunt to learn the choreography of the stunts, but I have I know how to throw a punch.
You know how to throw a little punch.
I know how to throw a little punch.
Yeah, I do too. I know how to throw a little punch.
Yeah,
I'm pretty,
You look like you can hold your own.
I can't. But let me just say this. Is there any role that you wish you could have done or maybe want to do in the future?
Ooh, I always wanted to play the Black Panther. I always wanted to play the Black Panther. I love what Chadwick Boseman did with it. He did a phenomenal job. I had auditioned to play Ray Charles, and I was way too young. But that was somebody that I grew up on, so I would have loved to have gotten a chance to play him in some form. There's a lot of different historians and historical figures that influence culture all around that I definitely would have loved to breathe some life into, but I can honestly say that for the most part, everybody that I wanted to play, the person who they did hire for it, serviced the role. Serviced the role.
So you like, Black Panther is like what kind of...
Well, he's a superhero.
Superhero. So you like you want to play a superhero.
Yeah, that would have been cool. That would have been cool. Have my little action figure. That would have been smooth.
Oh, wow.
That would have been smooth, but this tall, so.
Let me
that tall.
It's
so
okay.
They like, who you saving, bro? You like 5'3". Who you about to save?
That's funny. Well, who would you say is sort of the most interesting actor that you work with?
That I work with?
Yeah, or that you just...
I got a few.
Oh, okay.
Interesting in a sense of like their method or just
their method. I'm gonna go with that. Because you learned from some of these as you've grown since you've been in the business for such a little kid. So you picked up on some of the.
I would say I haven't really worked with many method actors. As far as like they're in their character the whole time. Terrence Howard, he like embodies some of his characteristics and he'll walk around with those characteristics, but he's not one of those people that's like, you gotta refer to me as my character, don't speak to me because you're gonna take me out of it. He's not one of those. Okay. Same thing with Kevin Bacon. I work with Kevin Bacon on City on the Hill. He's a phenomenal beast. Actor. Kevin Bacon is a beast. He is. But I work with him. He's not method, but the mannerisms of the character still exists, even though his personality is still him. Clark Peters, he's a gentleman that played kind of my future grandfather-in-law on a show called Treme that I did for HBO.
I gotta watch that.
Back in the day. He's a very deep actor. I would say that I work with a lot of vets. When you work with the vets, it's seamless for them. It's like you don't even realize what their method or their technique is because it's just so automated and you know what it is? They do the work. They spend the time and they do the work so that way when they get on set, it breathes. And the thing about good acting is that if you can see the holes in it, it's not good.
Wow.
If I can see your layering, if I can see the accent that you put on, I can see the mannerisms that you change. If I pay attention to the change in your temperament, it's not good. That means that you have seams, and it hasn't become smooth enough. You haven't got comfortable enough with it to where I don't pay attention to it. When I meet you for the first time, I don't pay attention to, well, when I spoke to her on Facebook, this is what it is, right? Because I'm accepting who you are.
Right.
So if I can't accept who you are and I'm searching for why you're this way, as an actor, then that means you gotta like smooth it out a little bit more. So a lot of the people that I work with, you know, get on set and it's like, nah, he's to himself. Oh, he's feeling good today. He's in a good mood. But never do you say like, oh, he's in character.
That's really interesting. I like the way you put that, because I think a lot of, I mean, you know, I'm not an actor or anything, but I think a lot of actors, that's something good to know, that they have to be in that vibe and really do it where you don't notice it. And that's what makes them a better actor.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that takes time, though, too.
It takes time, and it really takes doing the work. Like a lot of, and there's a big conversation, right? That's like, what's the difference between British actors and American actors, or classically trained actors and actors that just go to a class? And actors with a theater background, they're way more in depth. They go deeper. Their work is way more extensive. The amount of they spend more time before they get on set prepping and trying out and rehearsing than they do when they actually on set performing. And they go so deep that they look at every single element and layer of this person, and they get comfortable with that, and they know that, and they make their choices, and they smooth it out, and they see how it feels, and they wear it. So now when they get on set, it's a person. A lot of actors in our generation, I'll say, like the younger generation, we don't have that classically trained. We're not theater trained or anything like that. So we see the personality and we try to play the personality, right? So then now, okay, your personality is there, but everything else is off. How you supposed to be a guy from California and you walk in with a New York bop? You know, like, and it's those small things that make you say, like, that don't look right.
Well, have you ever did theater?
Yeah, I did theater.
What was that like for you?
Theater is intense.
Really?
It's intense. It's very monotonous. It's the same thing. It's like being a DVD. Being on theater is like being a DVD. You have to put on the same performance every day.
Each time, the same way.
For a year straight. It's like you're a DVD player. Sometimes you'll get a director that'll allow you to explore different elements of the character. They won't let you change the scene, but they'll let you connect to a different energy, a night in, night out. Go out and have fun. The director that was my director, my first theater experience I did, Taller Than a Dwarf on Broadway. It was with Matthew Broderick, Parker Posey, written by Elaine May and produced by Alan Arkin, that recently passed. And we had a 9-month stint on Broadway, and we had like a 3-month in Boston. And Alan was the person that was like, whatever you say, whatever we work on in rehearsal, that's what you got to do every night. Because if she goes and she watched the show and she loves the way you said this line and the way you said this rap or this rhyme, and then she brings her friend the next day, and you say it different, guess what happens? It changes the love of the show.
Wow.
So when I was on the Boston stint, I got replaced by my understudy.
Really?
Because I had an issue with pronunciation and projecting. So I had to go through that, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna get the lead spot back. So by the time we got back to New York, I was able to be the main actor again. But it was a huge lesson. And then after I got finished with that show, Matthew was doing a show in LA called The Lamb, and it was his production company. He was like, we want you to play this role. And I went to LA and did another like 6 months doing theater in LA. Yep. But I've never been professionally trained. Never took an acting class.
Is this all you've been doing all your life? Just acting? Wow.
Yeah. And when you understand we watch movies because we want to watch people in different situations. So you always got to pull your inspiration from the only place that you see people, and that's life. And when you live and you hold on to experiences and you understand what to look for and how to retain it, and then you work on fine tuning it and understanding like the different complexities of what makes a person, but also the simplicity of it, you can kind of self-train. So I'm not saying it's all me, you know, it's a blessing. My talent is a blessing from Jehovah, it's God. And it's a lot of experience that was poured into me by my mentors. But yeah, it's also just being aware.
I'm so proud of you.
I appreciate it.
I'm so proud of you.
I appreciate it.
You all right, Mark. You all right.
Thank
let me ask you this. What's your new project you got going on?
Ooh, okay. So I had one that came out early this year. It's called Aurora. It's still on, I think we're on Stars now. It should still be on Stars, feature film. I have Rock the Boat that came out recently. That was a Tubi original. But it's not one of those kind of Tubi originals, Tubies. You know, some of the Tubi projects, I see the memes and all of that. So before you start, oh, you doing Tubi, go watch it. You know, like, I have a movie called Fells High coming out that one's going to be a classic. Fells High is going to be a classic. Probably early next year.
Okay.
Yeah, early next year. Fells High is going to be a classic. I have two more that's on the radar that I can't speak about yet. Can't speak about them. And right now I'm producing a docuseries.
And what is that about?
That's going to be called Trust the Lords, and it is a take on a lot of people like in the drug world. You hear about people like El Chapo and stuff like that, and these are figures that nobody ever knows, nobody ever sees. But coming up in certain neighborhoods, you know, you go to a prestigious club, and there's the businessmen spending $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a night, and then there's these regular dudes from the neighborhood, and those were the drug dealers, right? And they be 21, 22 years old.
Right.
And people don't understand that there's a system to that. To make $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year under the radar, there's a system to that.
Wow.
And so many times you see like they play on the drug aspect of it, but not the business aspect of it, the intellect of it, of what it takes in order to build that, and also the experience that these people lived and they went through that forced them to that point. So the series Trust the Lords, one of the rules is in order to be considered a drug lord on our show, you had to have made $2 million a year in liquid cash prior to the age of 18.
Wow.
Prior to the age of 18.
That's a lot of work.
So it's a docuseries. Right now we're shooting it, filming it, and it'll be released like early next year.
So you're producing? Are you directing? Are you doing both?
I haven't stepped over to production to directing.
Directing yet? Just want to produce
producing right now.
Do you see yourself directing?
Another project I just produced, Karma. Yeah, just shot that with Trey Chaney and Erica Pinkett. That'll be coming out early to mid next year. And
now, are you in this one too? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Stars myself, Trey, and Erica.
Trey Chaney, yeah.
So that's another one that we're doing.
Wow.
And,
So what, you don't see directing in the future?
I don't know, because actors are hard-headed. Actors are hard-headed. I know that from working with actors, you know, so, no, I'm playing. We're not all hard-headed. Directing, I'm just the kind of person that I respect the process. I don't like doing stuff just because I can. To me, that's a disrespect to the art. If I do something, I want to understand what I'm doing. I want to know that I'm equipped to handle myself. And that doesn't mean being perfect, but it means understanding the work that it takes in order to be considered a real director. Like, I produced a couple of times, but I would never tell people I was producing because I know what producing really is. And I know that what I was doing, even though you're giving me the title, that's not producing. You may give me the title because of what I brought, but I didn't produce anything. I made a phone call. You know, so when it comes to directing, there's so many nuances that you have to know. And I would hate to be a green director that doesn't know anything, that has to rely on my DP for everything. I don't know how to create a shot list. I don't know how to work with my AD to run the set. if I don't know those things, I'm not going to venture into that yet. You know, like I want some lessons. I like to take swimming lessons before I jump in the deep end.
I hear that.
So
I hear that.
So you know, who knows? Who knows? A few years, we'll see.
What do you see yourself doing in the future? Is it you continue acting or producing, of course, and
Producing, acting,
okay.
definitely for sure. The art is something that I love. I'm very passionate about it. So.
You'll be retiring. Doing
Yeah. You know, so
I can see that.
But it's a lot of talent out here, and the industry is the industry. Yeah. So your talent is not necessarily the reason why you work all the time. And sometimes there's the most talented people right down the block in the Wawa. They'll never get an opportunity. So I want to start creating change in that way.
Mark.
Because I personally know a lot of talented individuals that I'm like, you will outact a bunch of people that I worked with over the years. Have you done anything? And they're like, no, you know, I got my headshot, I did background on this or that. And I'm like, wow. So I'm going to change that.
You know what I like about Mark so much, you guys, is that he's willing to step back and reach back out to independents like myself.
You have to.
Not as an actor, but as an executive producer. Okay?
You have to.
And creating my own content. So I can appreciate that.
Definitely.
And this is, for people that's trying to do this, get into this business, it really helps when people like yourself come back and help. Hey, reach out and touch. You know, help us out. You know, it really does. Yeah. It really does, and it gives you hope too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, what would you share for up and coming actors or producers? I'm going to say more of actors. What would you tell somebody that's really trying to get into this, starting out? And most people gonna start out independent, of course. You know, what would you say?
First thing is do it for the right reasons.
Okay.
Well, when you seek anything for the wrong reasons, when you seek glory, when you seek fame, when you seek money, then you set yourself up for failure to begin with. And you may have heard people that are like, I just tried it, and it was, that's their success story. But that doesn't mean that that's going to be your experience.
Right.
And the reason why I always say you got to seek it for the passion, because you love it, and let me not say love it, because you're passionate about it. When you seek it for that reason, you can endure anything. There's a parable that I like to use, right? And one day, there's this guy, moves to a new neighborhood, and he walks past the house next door to him. And every day he walks by, these big pit bulls, they jump out and they bark, and and then they got a chain on them, and it's a little short fence, but he's like, oh, and he always crosses to the other side of the street. After about 2 weeks of the same thing, them jumping out, chain catching them, him jumping back, crossing to the other side, he's walking down the block, and this time the chain breaks and they go to hop the fence. This time though, he doesn't cross to the other side of the street. He moves closer to the pit bulls. Do you know why?
Well, he's not being scared anymore. He feels like he needs to go ahead and go through this process. Okay. And quit running across the street. I mean, that's all the way out of it.
All right, so that could be a good reason, right? If he's crazy, but he has his daughter with him. So he steps in the way of danger and he faces it head on. Okay. Because something that he loves, he has to protect. When you love something, you're attached to it. You face fear. You meet it head on.
I know that all too well.
And no matter what you go through, any situation that man would have been in, the love for his daughter would have made him face it head on. In our passions and our pursuits and our endeavors, you're going to face pit bulls.
True that.
You're going to face danger. You're going to face ridicule. You're going to face rejection. You're going to face all of these things. And if you don't love it, you're not going to face those things head on. After a while, you're going to run. And you're going to seek to find refuge somewhere else. You're going to seek to find refuge in your backup plan. You're going to seek to find refuge in this job that's paying $35 an hour, and you're just going to go make this money right quick so you can save up and buy you a house. And then the thing that was supposed to be your plan A hits the back burner, and that's because there's no love there. There's no passion.
Wow.
So it's only going to be a certain amount of time of the pit bulls barking before you stop walking down that block.
Well, I guess
You know,
I'm still
so-
walking down. I'm walking down that block.
You gotta walk down that block every day. Every day. And that's why when you were telling me your story last night, I was like, that's dope. Like what you said to me is real. Right? Like I do this because this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it may not be this, it may not be that, and I'm okay with that. Because this is what I want.
That's right.
And that's passion.
That's right.
That's passion.
You know, before we go, audience, I'm gonna. You will be receiving one of my AMP awards.
Yes.
We're gonna have it shipped to your house.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. I appreciate it.
So I did show you what it looked like. So you know.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So
when I get it, I'll make a video.
yeah, you better.
Yeah,
You
I
better.
got you.
So, but yeah, Mark, it's been super dope, super real to have you here.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you so much.
Definitely.
And I look forward to doing some work with you in the very near future.
Yeah,
I got some plans. I told you about my.
we was talking.
Yeah,
We
we're gonna do this.
We
We're gonna
like
do
this.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, you guys, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And once again, Mr. Marc John Jefferies.
Marc John Jefferies, no Mr.
Okay.
Dad is Mr. Marc Jefferies.
Okay. And we will see you again on the
Yeah.
AMP Awards.
I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I just know that I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it. I'ma get it.